Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Royal Institute of British Architects. My name is Simon Alford, and I'm Vice President of Education here at RIBA. I'm delighted to welcome you here for one of the most exciting events in our awards calendar, the President's Medals Students' Awards. The RIBA is one of the world's most prominent institutions in architecture. Our mission is to advance architecture by demonstrating its benefits to society and by promoting excellence and rewarding excellence in the profession. We are gathered here to celebrate the RIBA's most important awards in architectural education and the influence that the RIBA has on education on an international level. The President's Medals are not only a way to promote excellence in the study of architecture and reward talent, they are also an opportunity for our community of professionals to encourage architectural debate worldwide. These are interesting times, even some might say difficult. So I think it's particularly important tonight that we celebrate the achievements to date of a next generation of architects as they come out into a challenging world. So tonight we will show you the winner of the Annie Spink Award for Excellence in Architectural Education to award the contribution of academics in education, the winners of the President's Awards for Research, and this year's winners of the President's Medals. For the last 12 months, colleagues across the RIBA have worked hard, very hard, to organise panels of advisors and judges, to secure sponsors for this event, and to commission designers and suppliers, and to administer a database of hundreds of entries and nominations for tonight's awards. For many years, I've had the opportunity to work alongside a team of professionals here at Portland Place in the Education Department who have been committed to developing and expanding the presence and effect of these awards. I've also been fortunate enough to be a member of the panel of advisors to this group, to the President's Medals Student Awards Group, advising staff in the RIBA Education Department on the planning and judging of the awards. In particular, I would like to thank John Paul Nunes and Andrew Davis in the Education Department for the extraordinary amount of effort and work they've put in to managing this evening's ceremony. It is only an evening to you and us, but to them it's a year's work. They've worked throughout the different judging stages of the awards and in the production of the exhibition of winning student work that you can see on display throughout the building. They've also edited a comprehensive website of student submissions and have worked hard with our media partner, the Architects Journal, to whom we're very grateful, to produce a supplement about the President's Medals, available tonight as a preprint and tomorrow in the Architects Journal itself. These awards are important because in an era of benchmarking, standards and audits, we have no criteria that we give to the judges. We let them develop a discussion about what they think is the work that they would like to recognise as special this year. And I think that's very important, that it's actually a conversation across time about the changing interests in architectural education, the changing trends, the fashions and the resistance to fashions. In that sense, the website is an extraordinary record because it details what's going on this year, and future generations will be able to look back and think, what were the conversations going on, not only in the UK, but at an international level, in architectural schools. It's a record that's unique, and the more we can manage to maintain these awards, the more it will build up in importance. Finally, in this section, I would like to thank the sponsors and supporters of the President's Medals for their generosity, as they contribute to an ongoing programme that guarantees the future of these awards and enables us to continue to celebrate the very best of student work in architecture. So now please join me in welcoming to the stage the President of the RIBA to open the celebration of architectural education. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunam Prasad.
Thank you, Simon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be your host tonight and to welcome you to the RIBA for this ceremony. You're all special, but there is a unique combination of people here tonight that I must mention, and that is Ted Cullinan, Emet Stein, and Andy Macmillan, who I don't think have been seen together in a room since the wild times they used to have about 30 years ago, or possibly 130 years ago. Anyway, it's fantastic to see. It's fantastic to see. I find it very moving to see what I think are three of the greatest teachers that we've ever had here. The RIBA is here to create the best conditions for the best architecture to flourish. That's how I would interpret our charter. And unless education flourishes, architecture will not. But unfortunately, sometimes our relationship has been thought of as being dominated by validation and checking, as Simon said, in this world of accountability and QA and so on, rather than being absolutely focused on ethics, knowledge, imagination. But we're changing that. And I know that Ruth Reed and her team in the coming years will carry on doing what some of us have been pushing for, Simon, myself, and others. This year was the 50th anniversary of the Oxford Conference, which was to define education for subsequent 50 years. And there was a lot of agreement during this conference about some new kinds of professional attributes that we need to deal with, that we need in order to deal with a world that's very different from 1958. Climate change and the imperative sustainability is the latest and greatest of these new conditions and new challenges, but there are many others. And there was agreement that our shared values can only prevail, and we can only have traction for our imagination and our design if we value and we reward something that is more than form, image, and invention, the things that we actually find the easiest to judge and talk about. We actually have to reward things like interdisciplinary working, the awareness of limits in the most profound and poetic and imaginative way, limits of finance, but of course of the world as we find it, of time, of human resources, of regulatory environments, and so on, and the ability to argue and communicate that long-term value, the ability to listen to people and to respond in what is now often being described as a spirit of co-creation, the co-creation of the built world with the people with whom we work and for whom we work. And it's actually particularly heartening to see some of these attributes being reflected in the work that plasters the walls of the RIBA tonight, and will go on plastering the walls of the RIBA. Hasn't happened for a while, for at least the next week and possibly longer. Depends how long we can hold off other pressures, including health and safety. Architecture is a form of communication, and a form of an image is at the heart, and form and image are at the heart of making architecture. But without these other things, you get an enormous loss of substance. The image has nothing, in a sense, to speak of unless we also tackle those other things. And that's the new paradigm that we all, I think, are trying to explore between us. Education is at the heart of the work that the RIBA does to develop architecture in the UK and abroad. And this event is one of the great highlights of the year. I find it personally extremely rewarding to see so many students here at the RIBA and to see so much promising talent gathered here, not only in the Jarvis Hall, but what's going to happen afterwards. Not to mention the fantastic work displayed on the walls of this building. This is the greatest degree show on earth, with the best work from over 150 schools around the world displayed. Now, I must say a few words about the awards themselves. Given since 2000, the biennial Annie Spink Award for Excellence in Architecture Education is now an established and coveted award in the academic world. It's open to teachers, individuals, or groups working on any internationally validated RIBA course who are involved in the development of architecture education and engage with the process of teaching and learning. The nominations for this year's award showed fantastic quality and diversity and demonstrate the international impact of the role the RIBA has been having in architectural education. Also awarded tonight, the President's Award for Research. Encourage and reward outstanding research in architecture carried out by PhD students, academics, and practitioners. And of course, it is only through a true coming together of education, research, and practice that we will achieve all those other values that I was talking about earlier. These awards help to promote and champion high-quality research and encourage its dissemination and incorporation into the knowledge base of the profession. They contribute to raising the profile of architects, practitioners, and academics engaged in outstanding research, and raise awareness of the need for research across the profession to foster innovation and strategic thinking. And finally, of course, the President's Medals, the RIBA's international program of student awards. There's a budding student, I see, making an early entry here. They are widely regarded as the most prestigious awards in architectural education worldwide and aim to celebrate the talent of students nominated by schools of architecture all over the world. And as Simon mentioned, the President's Medal entries are assessed by different panels of judges. A panel of internationally renowned judges selects the award winners, including the bronze medal for part 1, the silver medal for part 2, and the dissertation medal. The medals have yet again exceeded their own records in a successful program that grows every year. This year we have had more students from more countries nominated than last year, and more schools involved as well than in any previous years. In addition to the 111 institutions that the RIBA validates all over the world, a record number of 116 other non-validated schools were invited to submit work this year. In addition to entries from UK schools and institutions in countries such as Argentina, Chile, China, Colombia, India, Romania, Russia, Singapore, and South Africa, this year the awards grew further, with entries being submitted by non-validated schools from the United States, Canada, Norway, Germany, and the Netherlands. There are, I believe, 156 schools, the work of 150 schools represented, and every one of them is represented somewhere upstairs or downstairs in this building. The President's Medals are a fitting celebration of the outstanding talent in design projects and dissertations that come out of architecture schools. We are particularly proud of the RIBA's involvement with schools of architecture in the UK and abroad, and the appointment to manage the UIA UNESCO validation system on behalf of the International Union of Architects, UIA, agreed in June, demonstrates the importance the RIBA has gained in the validation process of architectural education. And once validated, schools will be recognized by both the UIA, UNESCO, and the RIBA. And this is actually to recognize a simple emerging fact about the world, that it is becoming more one place. Globalization, for all its downsides, is inescapable and has incredible advantages and great beauties about it. And we do need ultimately to develop portability of validation of qualifications so that we genuinely can work all over the world and exchange information across the world. The UIA acknowledges the RIBA's experience in validation and intends to apply our expertise to their system, which is a fantastic achievement by the education team. I'm very grateful to all those who have dedicated so much time and effort to deliver tonight's awards, and of course to our sponsors, without whose generosity this event would not be possible. So in particular, I must thank our principal sponsor, Atkins, the multidisciplinary international consultancy with architecture at its core. Atkins have been supporting the President's Medals as main sponsor for the past 5 years, and we're delighted that they've been contributing to rewarding the future talent of the profession, showing great interest in the quality of work submitted. You'll actually be hearing shortly from Atkins, from Valerie, and some of the very interesting new directions they're taking. I would also like to thank Comfort Workspace, sponsors of the RIBA President's Medals touring exhibition, who also award the Comfort Workspace Awards. The Skidmore, Owings and Merrill Foundation, which has supported the awards from the outset by awarding 2 travelling fellowships in addition to their sponsorship. Iguzzini, a leading company in the field of architectural lighting, associate sponsors for the 5th year running and also responsible for awarding this year's Iguzzini Travelling Awards. And Paul Davis and Partners, architects who have been associate sponsors for the past 4 years and who kindly award the Paul Davis Partners Awards. And a special thanks goes to the Architects Journal, media partner for President's Medals, who have worked with the RIBA and the Education Department for many, many years. And I must thank all the architectural practices that have supported the awards this year. It's wonderful to see great practices, small and large, wanting to support and promote the talent for the future, of the future. And finally, thank you very much to the judges, and of course, perhaps more than anybody else, to the students. I hope you enjoy the ceremony tonight. Welcome to the RIBA, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sunand. As Sunand mentioned, the President's Medals would not have been possible without the support of our principal sponsor, Atkins. I would like to invite to the stage Valerie Evans, Director at Atkins, to say a few words about their involvement with the President's Medals. Valerie.
Good evening to all of you. And may I say, having wandered around upstairs for a while before the event, I'm absolutely blown away with the quality of work that is coming out of our schools today. absolutely amazed at the quality. And in terms of the talent, we can't wait to have you in our industry, and Atkins will certainly welcome you. Now, the tenor, can you see this? Easy to appreciate. It's the currency we can understand. We can put it in our pockets. We can hold it, we can touch it, we can smell it. But in our world, there's a new currency coming. It's harder to appreciate. You can't put it in your wallet. You can't even see it. It's called carbon. It's stamping itself on our world as the greatest threat to life since the ancient meteor strike led to the dinosaurs' extinction. We're all becoming cognizant, if not paranoid, of our carbon footprints. And as the UK's largest design consultancy, there's an awful lot to think about. We think it brings possibilities, but massive problems too. Paying for it is one of them. Working out which way to go is another. But let's look at the opportunities. Climate change brings new clients to talk to, new investment funds, for example, carbon traders. It also affects how we talk to our current clients, our existing clients, how we plan our work, and how we design our projects. For example, alongside wind loading calculations, we're now assessing water efficiency, solar gain, and of course carbon loadings. But everyone's asking, how far can we go? Whilst Atkins might not be selling the concept of mud huts, we are certainly trying to push the envelope. We recently opened a new campus, Northumbria University, where we did some clever but really, really simple things. We took the really busiest classrooms and put them on the shady side of the building. We took staircases that were internal, put them outside. That way customers were actually saving on heating and cooling. We ended up with a building that made real environmental sense. And we educated our client in the process, which we're quite proud of. However, it's not all about invention. It's also about deconstruction. It often doesn't mean taking a step forward in innovation, but sometimes taking a step backwards. We look at pre-industrial methods and try and adapt them. That way we spend less carbon. Carbon budgets will be set by the Committee on Climate Change. This promises a completely new approach. It sets carbon targets in the same way that our Chancellor sets budgets for the economy. Now we're seeing carbon targets being driven by science, not just economics. Government plays a crucial role in bringing about climate change, and I must say I'm delighted to see that someone has a label over their door stating climate change. That brings it to a whole new level. Coming back to the built environment, recently Keith Clark, our Chief Executive, was asked by a new civil engineer, what do you think the most important development has been in the construction industry to date? Do you know what Keith answered? He said it hasn't happened yet. We're not thinking of one new invention. We might be thinking of dozens, hundreds, thousands, who knows, all driving us to the goal of truly sustainable design. It is an evolution of planning, design, and delivery, not one driven by natural evolution, but one driven by absolute necessity. So, we're back to this. If you're talking about designing something that is as carbon clean as it possibly can be, you're looking at probably adding 15% to the cost. Looking at the current economic climate, could the carbon economy suffer too? Will clients just want cheaper buildings? Will it mean cutting out the really clever carbon bit? It certainly could have an impact, but interestingly, we're already finding that buildings which have better environmental credentials are actually attracting a premium. We're finding that especially out in the Middle East, where we're finding that clients are indeed competing for the most carbon-friendly buildings. Finally, who should lead this evolution? I said that we need governments, but can they prescribe exactly how we are to do this and what route to follow? In our view, governments can draw the outline, But can they colour in the inside, the picture too? We don't think so. We think it's up to us. It's for us to colour in that picture. We need to concentrate on training, getting more architects, engineers and surveyors upskilled. And this is where professional institutes come into play. We need to work closely with professional institutions, government and design organisations to find out where the skills gaps are and to improve on them, to enhance our understanding of the issues of environmental design. Within Atkins, we're on a journey. We call it carbon critical design. It means lots of new thinking, new training, new tools. It will be expensive, for that we are sure, but for us, it's absolutely essential. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie and Atkins, for your generous support of the President's Medals. I would now like to invite to the stage David Gloucester, the RIBA's Director of Education, who will be saying a few words about the work that the RIBA does in education and what they've been doing to promote excellence in education over the last few years. David.
Thank you, Simon. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to announce tonight's winners and celebrate the talent of students, academics and researchers in the field of architecture, I think I should briefly tell you what the RIBA, with the support of its members, does to support the future of the profession. The RIBA Education Department is committed to promoting and rewarding excellence in architectural education in the UK and abroad. The President's Medals being a fine example of the work that we do to recognise and encourage emerging talent. For decades, we've been supporting professional education and research by validating schools of architecture worldwide, by managing funding opportunities for students in financial hardship, and awarding those who show the originality and capability to develop our restless and inquisitive profession. With the help of our members, we assess applications and give grants and scholarships to both students and researchers. An example is the RIBA Education Fund, a registered charity supporting students in need that welcomes applications throughout the year from students in trying financial circumstances, and very much appreciates the assistance that our membership gives. Schemes supporting the student community have in fact often developed from members' contributions, such as the RIBA LKE Oslins Studentship, established from the Lyman Oslins bequest, or the RIBA Goldfinger Scholarship, established with a generous donation by the family of the great architect Ernest Goldfinger. We also have a successful partnership with the architect John McCaslin. This has developed the joint RIBA ICE McCaslin Bursary, established in 2005, supporting architecture and engineering students, and graduates too, committed to the progress of environmental and community development in the UK or abroad. Since 2006, we've been managing the RIBA Norman Foster Travelling Scholarship, a £6,000 grant awarded to a student from any RIBA recognised school of architecture in the UK and abroad. This funds international research on a topic and in a location of the student's choice. Initially established as a biennial award, I'm delighted to announce tonight that Lord Foster has decided to provide further funds towards the initial endowment to make the award annual, a most welcome initiative that will help keep this prestigious travel award running. I'm also delighted to announce tonight two new and exciting partnerships that will allow us to further support student work. We have this year established the RIBA Worshipful Company of Chartered Architects Travel Award, in partnership with the Worshipful Company of Chartered Architects, and aimed at Part 2 students enrolled in London Schools of Architecture. We have also set up the RIBA Stephen Williams Scholarship, in memory of Stephen Williams, former director at IDAS, who contributed tremendously towards educating young architects at IDAS and elsewhere. In partnership with IDAS and the Williams family, this new scheme will support students of master's studies of 12 months plus duration, a higher degree for which students often find it exceptionally difficult to obtain funding. We are hugely grateful to all our donors and all RIBA members who've worked with the RIBA Education Department, showing such an impressive commitment to the development, promotion and reward of architectural education and research. And with no further delay, or at least not much, ladies and gentlemen, let the awards begin. Please enjoy your evening. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we now get down to the meat and drink of the evening. It's my pleasure to start with the announcement of this year's RIBA Annie Spink Award for Excellence in Architectural Education. In 1974, Herbert Spink left us with a trust in memory of his wife, Annie Spink, a trust to honour the advancement of architectural education. The biennial award was made for the first time in 2000, and even though this is only the 5th time it's been awarded, it has attracted dozens of entrants and very strong nominations. As Vice President for Education, I was chair of the distinguished judging panel for this award, which was comprised of David Durney, head of the Manchester School of Architecture, Don Gray, head of Kent School of Architecture, Eva Jurichner, founder of Eva Jurichner Architects, C.J. Lim, Professor of Architecture and Cultural Design at the Bartlett School of Architecture, and Joanna Rapp from Shepherd Robson Architects and winner of the RIBA Dissertation Medal in last year's President's Medals Awards. The judging panel's decision was not an easy one, with a range of exceptional candidates from around the world, from as far afield as Argentina, Australia, New Zealand and Sri Lanka. To introduce this year's winner, I would like to invite to the stage a member of the judging panel, Joanna Rapp, winner of the Dissertation Medal at last year's President's Medals. Joanna.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure and an honor to have been invited to join the judging panel for this year's Annie Spink Award and to introduce you to the winners. This year's winners were nominated jointly for their outstanding achievements in architectural education. They began their teaching careers in the 1960s, and each has taught continuously since then. They are perhaps best known for their long association with the Mackintosh School of Architecture in Glasgow, which they established as one of the most respected schools in the UK, if not Europe. During the 1980s, they extended their teaching influence as one of them headed the Mackintosh in Glasgow, and the other became Forbes Professor and Head of School at Edinburgh University School of Architecture. They continued to work together, and each would visit the other's school as a visiting lecturer and tutor. In addition, they have made major contributions to University College Dublin School of Architecture, the Architectural Association, and Edinburgh University. Their educational careers have covered the full range of teaching activities, and there are few UK schools of architecture where they have not been visiting tutors, lecturers, or critics. They have also been visiting teachers in many schools in Europe, North and South America, and the Far East. They have been colleagues in practice and teaching for their entire professional careers. Their contribution in each sphere has recently been acknowledged by the IRAS, which awarded them its inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award. It is impossible to separate them, and the judging panel was unanimous in awarding them Annie Spink Award 2008. The number and strength of the letters of support received show a powerful and endearing influence in those they taught and with whom they worked. It would not be an exaggeration to say that their personalities and work are so strong that they pervade architecture itself. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the recipients of the Annie Spink Award for Excellence in Architectural Education 2008, Professors Andrew Macmillan and Izzy Metzstein. And please,
There's no speeches, but there's plenty of opportunities to talk in the bar later.
Siamese twins are being separated nowadays.
It's the first two letters of a word I know very well. I'll leave you to guess it. Never mind.
Go on, Andy.
Well, actually, we're actually delighted to get this award, which was totally unexpected. But of course, I'm sure we feel we earned it. He lied. But we've had a very good year this year. It's very good at the end of your 80th year. You can say you've had an exhibition at the beginning, a retrospective, you've had a book published, you've had 2 lifetime awards for architecture, and now, finally, we've been given an award for excellence in teaching, because we've actually enjoyed not only a dual partnership, but a dual career where we've both been architects practicing, and then architects teaching. And the best thing about teaching, of course, is the learning that goes on among your students, and how much you learn from them, and you have to go back to the office and mug up on stuff so that the next time you see them, you can feel you can talk to them. So, for us, both architecture, the building of buildings, and the making, the helping in the making, the helping in the development of young architects, you know, our contribution to the past of architecture and our contribution to the future. We're as proud of the students we've produced as we are of the buildings we put up. Most of them. Anyway, say something.
Needless to say, I associate myself completely with what Andy has said, especially nice things about me. But there are moments in life, in architectural and teaching life, which are special. One, of course, is when you first see, at least you see a first building, which you can reasonably believe you can be identified as the designer, appearing on the ground and above the ground, and occasionally well spoken of. The next
designers, by the way. Carry on.
Next great moment is when some students of yours are old enough and mature enough to put up buildings which you can admire, and you can maybe detect a tiny amount of influence, the tiniest of influence, needless to say, and you have to be very clever to be able to detect it. Then, of course, that is the great moment. The great moment, of course, here is to have an award which was totally unexpected. Only knew about it 3 days ago, and I had to get my good suit out of the cleaners. Anyway, it's very nice to be here. The point I want to make, is, which Andy has already stolen from me, he didn't know I was going to speak about it, but it's pretty inevitable. This has been a remarkable year for us, starting with a very nice exhibition and ending very nice recognition of our teaching contribution. And we're very pleased about that. Now, I don't know if that's a coincidence or there's something very deeper involved, and I'm not intending to look this gift horse in the mouth at this present time. All I can say, shut up. All I can say, it's been very, very nice, very much appreciated, and fully deserved, I hope. Thank you very much.
We now move to the announcement of this year's winners of the RIBA President's Awards for Research. And I would like to invite to the stage the chair of the judging panel of these awards, Professor Richard Coyne, head of the School of Arts, Culture and Environment at the University of Edinburgh. Richard Coyne.
I'll stick to the script. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As chair of the judging panel, I'd just like to say a few words about the RIBA President's Award for Research. Developing out of an initial idea of Peter Gibbs Kennett, the RIBA's Research and Development Department launched this award scheme in 2005. The awards aim to encourage and reward outstanding research in architecture carried out across the sector by individuals at all stages of their careers, from PhD students through to academics and practitioners with established track records in publishing and building. We hope the awards will promote and champion high-quality research and focus awareness on the role research plays in fostering creativity. innovation, and strategic and critical thinking in architecture. We're looking for research that offers an original contribution to architectural knowledge and understanding. Annually, we present awards in 3 categories. An award for the best PhD thesis from an RIBA-validated School of Architecture, an award for outstanding research carried out either by a sole individual or a group located in an RIBA-validated School of Architecture, and an award for an outstanding item of research located in a professional practice initiated by an RIBA member and/or RIBA chartered practice. Architecture encompasses a number of different modes of research, including technologically driven inquiry, explorations in architectural history, theory and criticism, and the emerging and dynamic field of design-based research. We encourage the submission of all these kinds of research to the awards, and this year's entrants reflect that diversity. I'd like to thank this year's judges, Dr. Felipe Hernandez from the University of Liverpool, Peter Clegg of Fielding Clegg Bradley, Sarah Featherston of Featherston Architects, Professor Brian Ford from the University of Nottingham, Sarah Wigglesworth from Sarah Wigglesworth Architects, and Keith Snook, Anna Gagliano and Bethany Winning of the RIBA Research and Development Department for their hard work in supporting the judging and its administration. The presentation of the awards highlights the pivotal role that research plays in both practice and education. Architecture is an incredibly rich terrain with many routes to effective research. Dissertations, master's and doctoral investigations, and links between students, educators, academics, and professional practitioners. As a professional design activity, architecture inevitably involves research, though it's not always foregrounded as such, or presented in a form that can be exploited or developed by others. As a university-based researcher, I can only say how pleased I would be to see even closer partnerships with practitioners. Together we can develop and disseminate rigorous and relevant research. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I'd like to call to the stage the President of the RIBA to award tonight's RIBA President's Awards for Research. The dissertation that wins the RIBA President's Awards for Research for the outstanding PhD thesis is entitled The Inhabitable Flesh of Architecture. It comes from the Bartlett School of Architecture and was described by the judges as vigorous, lively, and conveying a sense of adventure and enjoyment. This thesis was supervised by Professor Ian Borden. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this year's RIBA President's Award for Research for the outstanding PhD thesis is Marcus Cruz. The research project that wins the second RIBA President's Awards for Research under the Outstanding University-Located Research category is entitled Architecture and the Special Relationship, the American Influence of Post-War British Architecture. It comes from the University of Westminster and was described by the judges as a remarkable book, very well written, lucidly combining history, anecdote, opinion, insight, and critical argument. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this year's RIBA President's Awards for Outstanding University-Located Research, it's a catchy title, is Murray Fraser. The judging panel would also like to mention that one commendation was awarded under the University-Located Research category entitled Fabric, Form, Work. It comes from the University of East London and the University of Edinburgh and was described by the judges as representing a body of research work that encompasses the history and theory of fabric, from work through to the minutiae of detail and of making. Ladies and gentlemen, the commendation under the Outstanding University-Located Research is awarded to Alan Chandler, Lead Researcher. And finally, in this category, the research project that wins the RIBA President's Award for Research under the Outstanding Professional Practice Located Research category is entitled The Z Book. The research project was described by the judges as a serious body of work that has served the profession and the cause of sustainability extremely well. The winner of this year's RIBA President's Award for Research in the Outstanding Professional Practice Located Research category is the Z Factory. Bill Dunster, Managing Director at the Z Factory, is receiving the award as the project's lead researcher. Bill Dunster. Now we move to the announcement of this year's winners of the President's Medal Students' Award. Every year, schools of architecture are invited to nominate 2 student design projects for the Bronze Medal at RIBA Part 1 and 2 projects for the Silver Medal at RIBA Part 2 and 1 nomination for the Dissertation Medal. And each year, an international jury of distinguished architects and academics selects the most outstanding design portfolios and dissertations from the work submitted. From my personal experience, I can tell you that the judging of the student entries is exciting. It's wide-ranging, its discussion. It's divided into 2 stages. There's a short listing and a final stage where the judges come to the hard decision of who wins the coveted medals and who is awarded a commendation for their outstanding work. It is primarily a celebration of an extraordinary suite of portfolios and dissertations we get to see. The dissertation judges read dozens of dissertations over the summer and then got together to discuss them and award the dissertation medal and commendations. Their job is a lot harder than ours, I can assure you. This year, the dissertation judging panel, chaired by Professor Peter Blundell-Jones from the University of Sheffield, included Gerald Adler from the University of Kent, Catherine Slesser, Managing Editor of the Architectural Review, and Simon Unwin from the Dundee School of Architecture. So we'll start by awarding the dissertation medal, and to do so I'd like to invite Sunam Prasad and David Gloucester to the stage to hand out the first commendations and medals of the night. The first commendation for the dissertation, Voices from Shatila, Dissecting the Urban Apparatus of Beirut's Southern Suburbs. The dissertation is a measured but powerful account of the experience and history of a Palestinian refugee camp in Beirut, always under siege and threatened by violence, its fabric torn apart as fast as it can be repaired. The main theme is the impossibility of sustaining a stable public realm, a police, under these circumstances. In finely textured and subtle writing, the author reminds us of the fragility of conditions we normally take for granted, concentrating on the fates of people abandoned and left to their own devices. The judges considered it authentic and brave, as well as movingly illustrated, well-researched and properly referenced. The winner of this commendation was supervised by Dr. Teresa Stepani and comes from the University of Greenwich. Ladies and gentlemen, Stefanos Goukoukoutsamis. The second commendation in this category goes to the work entitled Context Thinking, a reflection on the work of Alison and Peter Smithson. The judges said it was an adroit and elegant study of 2 of English modernism's most influential characters. The judges considered it very well written, diligently researched, scholarly and thoughtfully illustrated. Straightforward and incisive in style, it is a model for writing architectural history about the recent past. The dissertation, supervised by Peter Blundell-Jones, was submitted by the University of Sheffield. The author and winner of this commendation is Joseph Mackay. The third commendation in the dissertation category goes to the work entitled Expressing the Transpersonal, the work of Peter Zumthor. This dissertation offers a fine, detailed reading of two of Zumthor's buildings in the light of 19th century theory that both illuminates the buildings and elucidates the text. It is well presented and cogently argued with an evident depth of research. The dissertation, submitted by the University of Bath, was supervised by Martin Gledhill, and the author and winner of the commendation is Ross Tredit. The dissertation that wins the Dissertation Medal for 2008 is entitled Rookeries and No-Go Estates, St Giles and Broadwater Farm. This dissertation compares the 19th century rookeries in London, reportedly nests of poverty and vice, with the post-war modernist development of Broadwater Farm, Tottenham, site of the 1985 riots. Both became ghettos regarded as threatening by political authorities and dangerous to the external public, and the author argues convincingly that they had in common high densities, restrictive thresholds and limited definitions of the street. This potentially difficult topic is handled in an extraordinarily sophisticated way, with full awareness of how the two places have been interpreted, depicted, and mythologized. The dissertation has involved extensive research, is fully referenced, and beautifully presented. The judges considered it the leading contender for the prize, setting a high standard and being worthy of publication as it stands. The student was supervised by John Bold at the University of Westminster. The winner of the 2008 Dissertation Medal is Dominic Severs. And now we move to the Design Projects category. The Design Project judges usually go through over 4,000 digital images and dozens of portfolios and films in order to assess the best projects at Part 1 and Part 2 that the RIBA receives from all over the world. In the Design Project category, chaired by myself as a non-voting chair, we would like to thank Hanif Kara, co-founder and director of Adams Kara Taylor, Ellen Van Loon, partner of the Office for Metropolitan Architecture, and Benedetta Tagliabue of Miralis Tagliabue Architects. So we'll start by awarding the Part 1 awards in the Bronze Medal category. The first commendation is awarded to a student from the University of Greenwich for the project Newton's Third. The project is a collection of 3 projects that react to society and context. It is a careful consideration of social space and its architectural infrastructures, and it is also a study of neighbourliness in the 21st century high-rise. The judges considered it a very innovative project from an educational perspective. The project was supervised by François Girardin and Raoul Kuntz, and the author is Vladimir Bereskovsky. The second commendation in the bronze category goes to the project Towards Better Livelihoods Through Equality. Submitted by London Metropolitan University and supervised by Robert Barnes and Annika Grafweg. The students' research was located in a 5-kilometre-long linear industrial zone sandwiched between the Grand Trunk Road and the Delhi to Calcutta railway line in the suburbs of Delhi. The site contained, amongst the factories, a series of dense, low-income settlements threatened by the ongoing construction of Delhi Metro, eastwards. This eastwards extension with a delicate self-built infrastructure of houses. The project is a stunning example of how, within a strategic remit, using the narrative techniques of the studio, a student can formulate a sensitive response to gender issues. Simultaneously, architecture can be created which fits easily into the physical and cultural landscape at the community building scale. The second commendation for a project at Park Wong goes to Valerie Savadra Lux. The third and final commendation in this bronze medal category goes to the project 2012 Olympic Dining 2020 Education Campus, Phase Change. The project conceives a building that exists as the dining hall for the Olympic athletes and their families during the Games in summer 2012, transforming into 4 schools in 2020 to serve both the new and the existing communities. The building addresses the 2 extreme programmes and their social and political contexts through themes of sustainability and potentiality. The project comes from the University of Cambridge and was supervised by Maximilian Beckenbauer, Tom Emerson and Deborah Saunt. The student is Rebecca Roberts. And now for the bronze medal awarded to the best design project at Part 1. This project is entitled Invisible University Library. It is set on Hay on Wye. The project explores the position of the book, the writer, education and communication in contemporary society. The project, submitted jointly by 2 students, identifies a gradual shift from written language to technological media, focusing on audio culture. A castle offers an idealised pastoral landscape where books are read out, transferred to audio format, broadcast to a live audience, and on radio programmes. Nature is inhabited by artifice as the castle becomes a mechanised and digitised rural artefact. The judges described the project as fantastic, beautifully presented, and with amazing images. The winning project comes from the University of Greenwich and was supervised by Renee Ellett and Peter Silver. The winner of the bronze medal for 2008, Best Project submitted for Part 1, is Win Lung and Francesco Matteo Belfiore. So congratulations to our Part 1 winners. We are very grateful also to our associate sponsors that in addition to their sponsorship have recognised the talent of the work submitted by giving their own awards. I would like to call to the stage the winners of this year's Skidmore, Owings and Merrill Foundation Travelling Fellowships. This year, the SOM Foundation judging panel comprised Kevin Carmody from Carmody Grawk, Ken Mackay from Mackay & Partners, and Roger Kalman and Kent Jackson from SOM. The SOM Foundation Travelling Scholarships were awarded to Moriko Yamagata from the University of East London for Part 1 with the project Monastero di Torcello, and to Erland Bakker-Eidser from the Architectural Association for Part 2 with the project Siberian Photo Resynthesis. also award the Iguzzini Travelling Award for projects that show outstanding and innovative use of lighting in architecture. This award consists of a visit to the Iguzzini headquarters in Recanati, Italy, for the students and tutors involved in their architectural education. This year's winner of the Iguzzini Award are Michael Fedak from the Mackintosh School of Architecture for the project Eyemouth Wreck Conservation Hall for Part 1, and Mark King from the University of Lincoln for Crash House for Jay Ballard for Part 2. The Paul Davis and Partners Awards for innovative approaches to landscape and urbanism go to Valerie Savadra Lux for the second time on the stage tonight from the London Metropolitan University at Part 1 for the project Towards Better Livelihoods Through Equality, and James Tate at Part 2 from the University of Strathclyde for his project Time and Tide for Seaweed. The fourth of these awards is the Comfort Award for the best use of interior space. And this year, 2008, the Comfort Award goes to Alexandrina Rizova from the Kingston University for the project Factory at Part 1, and Nafumi Takeoka from the University of East London for Part 2 for the project Wrapping Urban Memory. And the fifth of these awards is the Sargent Award for Excellence in Drawing. This award consists of book vouchers worth £250 for students who produce what the judges considered the best architectural drawings they saw. This year's winners are at Part 1, Sean Young from Northumbria University for the project A Thin Place, Mesolithic Archaeology Museum, Northumberland, and at Part 2, Mark Rist from the University of Westminster for Street Life, Communes for Urbanites. So we now move to the silver medal category, the category commonly known as diploma, the end of 5 years normally of education. In addition to the silver medal, the judging panel awarded 3 commendations for Part 2. The first commendation in this silver medal category goes to the project The Brewer's Anatomy. Submitted by the Oslo School of Architecture and Design, the Brewer's Anatomy is situated next to a shipyard by the River Clyde in Scotland. It's a brewery containing all the elements of beer making, a garden for growing hops and barley, an oatum malting house, administrative and technical spaces, and a bar for the consumption of beer. The project developed around the person of the brewer. The spaces adapt the body shape at the same time as the brewer adapts the brewery. The vessels, pipes, and tubes are organised in a functional way, as well as revealing their potential as space creators. The project was supervised by Thomas Stocker, and the winner is Frederick Hauptland. The second commendation in this category goes to a student who is welcomed to the stage for the second time tonight for his project, Street Life, Communes for Urbanites. Set within the reality of repetitive modular design and located between Old Compton Street and Oxford Street in central London, this project proposes a new urban streetscape which can embrace the simple and seemingly banal acts of commercial and domestic everyday life, all within Soho's vibrant and voyeuristic context. The project was nominated by the University of Westminster and was supervised by Anthony Boulanger and Murray Fraser. The winner of this commendation is Mark Rist. I think it's worth noting that the RIBA medal judges do not confer with the other judges, so it's interesting that there is sometimes coincident choice. So the third commendation in this category goes to another student who is invited to the stage for the second time tonight for the project Wrapping Urban Memory. This project for an Institute of Archaeology within the city of Palermo, Italy, reuses the context of half-demolished buildings as urban memory, providing a recomposition of inhabitation for the site. The proposal for an Institute of Archaeology organises a complex brief within a series of distinct austere buildings and spaces where a measured reticence evokes a quiet expression of form for the storage of memory. This project from the University of East London was supervised by Mark Hayduk and Rumi Kubukawa. The student is Neofumi Takioka. So finally we come to the winner of the silver medal. The winning project is called Time and Tide for Seaweed and was submitted by the University of Strathclyde. The scheme proposes a productive landscape based on the natural and abundant resource of seaweed which would transform the coastal communities of the North West Highlands. The student's expansive research allowed him to discover and substantiate the benefits of this unknown resource, while ultimately forming the basis of his architectural proposal. The thesis project focused on the coastal village of Arisaig, which would become a centre for sea vegetable cultivation while providing a seaweed-based facilities for health and leisure. This would establish a flourishing seaweed industry while providing employment and enjoyment to the people of Arisaig and its visitors all year round. The judges admired the intelligent reinvention of the sustainable way of life in an elegantly drawn project. Jonathan Charlie and Alan Pert supervised the student, and the winner of this year's silver medal for the best project submitted for Part 2 and for the second time on stage this evening is James Tate. So we really are coming to the end now. On behalf of the RIBA, I'd like to thank our principal sponsor, Atkins, for their commitment to supporting and rewarding talent, and also to thank our associated sponsors, Comfort Workspace, SOM Foundation, Egutzini, and Paul Davis & Partners. I would also like to thank, most importantly, all the schools of architecture and the students who've helped to create an exciting showcase of student work. I'd also like to thank the many panels of judges who gave an extraordinary amount of time and effort to ensure that there was a kind of intelligence to this process of celebration, and to all the RIBA staff and volunteers who make this celebration possible tonight and start again for 2009 tomorrow afternoon. Sunam Prasad will now come on stage to say a few words.
Thank you all very much for coming. Tell your friends that there is a great show on at the RIBA, at least for the next week, if not slightly more. And tell people that actually, despite the economic downturn, it's possible to come here and find fantastic architecture and to recruit people, even in your dreams. And I want to especially thank Andy and Izzy for showing students, which includes all of us here actually, how to stay young through architecture all the way through to your 70s and 80s. Thank you, both of you, and thank you to all of you for coming. There's a reception upstairs. Let the party begin. Thank you.